As you can see, we arrived at the Oklahoma City National Stockyards, where I'm gonna do a few interviews with some people that work here. I see what their experience are with cattle, hauling cattle, selling cattle, and even auctioneers.
A lot of Chandler fellows have had a round of shots now. 155, $56, but at a $156, 156, 156, you get money's on, 55, but about $6, 156, 156, 156, I'm going to 7, I'm going to 63, but I'm Stockman 104. $8.45, 146, 145, $1.46, you get money's on, 45, but $6, but $45, 146, 45, 147, 147, 45, at 8 half time, 8 half, down 9 half, 50, 50, 50, 50, half, 50, half, 150, half, Sullivan $1.50, little $194, Western $194. Here's girls, 45, 146, 45, $1.46, the money's on, 45, but $6 here, $1.46, 45, 5, 6 here, $145, 46, 145, but Custer, 77 on 0. $56 head of fellows, there's a nice set of beef heifers. Only 56 for the girls, weighing 917. You bet. Heifers are guaranteed open to you. So 121.50, but number 2. That's all I'm great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice shirtless. Here's Mr. Grant Marlin. Work for you.
I was put together about 90 days ago.
Put together about 90 days ago. We just did 2 rounds of vaccine, boys. Picking him on, picking him on, 150 Paramount, 34. 140, Paramount, 34.
We're here at the Oklahoma City National Stockyards, and I'm doing an interview with, sir, what's your name?
Greg Griffith.
Greg Griffin.
Yeah,
Nice
I'm
meeting
one
you.
of the managers and co-owners of Stockman's Commission Company, Stockman Oklahoma Commission Company, actually, here at the Oklahoma National Stockyards.
Okay. Can you tell me something about the old stockyards? Because I heard, I've been doing some research, like being on Google, and I googled Oklahoma National Stockyards. What how old is this building?
I think this building was put into service around 1917. It was originally built to be a hay barn, and there were several of them built just like this around the perimeter. Of course, at that time, there wasn't any pelletized feed or anything like that. Everything was, all the animals, and you think about it, at that time we had sheep that we sold here, we had mules that we sold here, a lot of mules and horses at wartime. Of course, hogs and pretty well all the species. We went to an auction. The auction started in I believe the mid to late 60s. Prior to that, all the cattle were sold in the pens. But at the time they started the auction, they wanted to. They didn't want to invest a tremendous amount of money, is my understanding. So they started, and it kind of fit this building to make a place where they could have the auction. Since then, there's been millions of animals go through here. It's been renovated several times. It's got kind of a nostalgia, kind of a historic feel to it. Of course, a building that old would naturally have that, but that's the one we use every week.
I was wondering when I drove from Abilene, Texas to Oklahoma City, that somebody asked me, you want to come live in Oklahoma? I said, well, I'm not too much interested, not because of Oklahoma, and it's more about you have more trouble with tornadoes. So in the tornado season, you never had a problem that these pens were damaged by a tornado?
I was an auctioneer here for almost 20 years. And when the May 3rd tornado hit Moore, it was one of those tornadoes, long tracking, whatever they call it. It'd been on the ground for over an hour. And
yeah, I've seen it on the news.
And it was the Will Rogers World Airport's just southwest of here, and I was in the auction block and been selling for about an hour. Normally we trade off every hour when we're auctioneering here, and I'd already decided. They said, well, you just stay there until the tornado gets close. We'll either go underneath the bleachers or get underneath the scales. I don't remember exactly how many cattle we had that day, but I'm positive is over 10,000. And then with all the wood and all the bricks and the old buildings and stuff, I thought, if it gets past Will Rogers World Airport, we're going to shut the auction down. I'm going to seek shelter somewhere else, but I'm not going to stay out in the middle of the yards. That's probably as close as we've ever been.
So it's all old, and it's all original. Or has the pens also been remodeled?
You can see a little bit of new steel, of course, with the treated lumber and that sort of thing. There's somebody out here repairing and making improvements all the time. But now with the using of the pipe and steel, it should last quite a while longer.
Well, I understand the truck drivers, they come here on Sunday afternoon already to unload cattle.
Most of the cattle, depending on how far they're coming from, will come in on Saturday or Sunday.
And then they unload them. Y'all stock them here in the pens.
We take, the commission company takes delivery of those cattle, puts them in the pens. And is responsible for feeding and watering and sorting and representing those cattle for the customer through the auction.
Okay. Do the customer already get an ID or like photos of the cattle being sold, or it's just a surprise to them when they run into the sale barn, then they see the cattle for the first time?
Well, as far as the buyers, For the most part, you know, if there's a special consignment, we'll tell the buyers. We're real fortunate where we are geographically, and then over the years historically, we typically will have somewhere give or take 8,000 to 10,000 every week, so the buyers know there will be enough cattle of the different classes and kinds to work with.
Okay. Are there a lot of customers that come here every week? Are there people that are...
Most of the buyers come here every week. They're professional order buyers. As far as customers go, most of our customers will sell here more than one time a year. There's times they'll bring their kids or grandkids or their wives, spend the weekend at Bricktown or viewing some of the horse events over at the fairgrounds, or they'll have more than one thing going, and so they kind of make a little mini vacation out of it. And at the same time, we have customers that we've been selling cattle for 20 years, and they're so busy at home they focus on what they do there, and there's a level of trust built up that but like I just missed a call from a customer down here in Anadarko, and I'm sure he's just wanting to see how his cattle looked and how they sold, and we've been doing business with him for a long time.
So when I talk about customers, I mean the buyers.
Okay.
So if the buyers are all the same every time, the same, or they're different?
No, I'm going to say at least 90% of them are the same. There's certain times a year there's not as many cattle moving, up in Nebraska and Iowa, even Minnesota. And there's certain times a year those buyers will come down here for 3 to 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks in a row. And then when their cattle go to moving at home, and they can get most of their business done there, well then they'll move back, to their native area.
Okay.
time.